You are looking at the world through your own eyes. Everything you see, you think must be true. Right, but what if I told you that everything you see is not true? Some things are so unbelievable that they sound fake, but they're 100% real. So get ready, because here are some unbelievable facts in the world. Number 10. Paris was once underwater. You heard me right? The entire city of Paris was once underwater. According to recent studies, this happened about 66 million years ago. Scientists have discovered fossils of sea creatures such as clams, oysters, coral and starfish in the middle of Paris. Not just that, but the Eiffel Tower would also be underwater at that time. That's how the entire city was submerged underwater. And it wasn't just a small portion of Paris, but the whole city. Number 9. A broken heart can be a legitimate cause of death. Next time, be careful of whom you trust. Next time, don't let your heart break because it could be fatal. There's something called broken heart syndrome, which is known as stress cardiomyopathy. This is when you experience intense, emotional, or physical stress, and your heart suddenly weakens. It was first described back in the 1990s by Japanese doctors who were trying to explain sudden heart failure in patients without any apparent cause. Now it has been recognized as a legitimate cause of death. The American Heart Association reports that around 20% of people who enter a hospital with chest pain and are diagnosed with broken heart syndrome end up dying. Even though this condition is rare, it's still critical. If you think you or someone you know may be suffering from broken heart syndrome, seek medical attention immediately. Just imagine going to the hospital with chest pain and then being told that you've died of a broken heart. That would be a very unique way to go. No. 8. Food made by someone else tastes better than your own cooking. Despite having the same recipe, have you ever wondered why your friend's lasagna tastes so much better than yours, even though you used the exact same recipe? Well, there's a scientific explanation for it. It all comes down to something called the superiority bias. In social psychology, this bias refers to our tendency to believe that we are better at something than objective measures would suggest. For example, we might think that we're better drivers than average, even though statistically, half the drivers on the road are worse than we are. When it comes to cooking, this bias can make it difficult to accept that someone else's dish might be better than ours. Even if it is, we might be subconsciously comparing our dish to other dishes that we've cooked before, instead of our friend's dish. This can lead us to believe that our dish is just as good as theirs, even if it's not. However, it's important to remember that everyone has their own unique strengths and weaknesses in the kitchen. While your lasagna might not be as good as your friend's, your spaghetti carbonara could be mind-blowing. Everyone has different skills, so don't be afraid to experiment and find out what you're good at. And hey, even if your food isn't the best, it's still the thought that counts, right? 7. You cannot smile and breathe at the same time. Go ahead, try it. You'll realize how difficult it is to do both together. At the same time, our body has amazing abilities that we don't even realize. Smiling and breathing are two of them. They are involuntary actions that we perform every day without even thinking about it. But did you know that you cannot do both of these things at the same time? When you try to smile and breathe at the same time, you'll notice that your body automatically stops breathing in order to keep the smile in place. This is because the muscles that are used for smiling are located in the same area as the muscles that are used for breathing. So when you try to smile, those muscles contract, which prevents air from flowing in and out of your lungs. On the other hand, when you're breathing, the muscles that control your breathing prevent you from smiling. This is an amazing example of how the body works, and it's definitely worth trying out for yourself. So next time you're feeling stressed, try taking a deep breath and a big smile. Just kidding, don't do it. It won't help you relax. Number 6. In England, the Speaker of the House is not allowed to speak. Yep, that's right. The Speaker of the House in England is not allowed to say a word while in the House of Commons. This rule has been in place since 1341 and is considered to be one of the most important parts of the British parliamentary system. You might be wondering why the Speaker of the House is not allowed to speak. After all, it's their job to represent their party and make sure that their voice is heard. However, this is not the case. The Speaker of the House is not allowed to speak in order to maintain their impartiality. They need to be seen as a neutral party, someone who is not biased towards any particular party or interest group. If the Speaker of the House were to speak, it could be seen as them taking sides, which would undermine their authority. There are a few exceptions to this rule. For example, the Speaker of the House is allowed to speak when they are giving their ruling on a point of order, but for the most part, the Speaker of the House remains silent. This might seem strange to us, but it's actually an important part of ensuring that the British parliamentary system works properly. No. Your own dead skin cells make up the majority of the dust in your house. You are surrounded by your dead skin cells. No matter where you go in your house, you are likely to find dust bunnies and other tiny piles of dirt and debris lying around. And guess what? The majority of that dust is actually made up of your own dead skin cells. It's gross but true. Skin cells are constantly falling off people and pets and accumulating in the nooks and crannies of your home. And while it might seem like a nuisance to have to clean up all the time, it's actually a good thing. All that dust is full of nutrients that can actually help fertilize your plants. Plus, it's a great way to bond with your family and friends. Just make sure to wear a mask while you're doing it. Number 4. Food made by someone else tastes better than your own cooking. Despite having the same recipe, we talked about this earlier in the video, but now we're going to delve deeper into the psychology behind it. There are several factors that could be at play here. One is the placebo effect. This is when you expect something to taste good and it does, or when you expect something to be bad and it is. For example, if you were told that a certain dish was made with love by the chef, you might be more likely to enjoy it, even if it wasn't actually that good. Another factor is the power of suggestion. This is when someone else's opinion or belief influences your own beliefs and actions. For example, if a friend told you that their lasagna was the best they'd ever tasted, you might be more likely to believe that it was actually good. Finally, there is the issue of confirmation bias. This is when you only pay attention to information that confirms your already existing beliefs. For example, if you think that your own cooking is better than everyone else's, you might only pay attention to compliments about your food and ignore any criticism. All of these factors can contribute to the perception that someone else's food tastes better than your own, even if it's objectively the same recipe. So the next time you're enjoying a meal cooked by someone else, take a moment to appreciate all of the psychological factors that are at play. No. 3. You will never laugh at the same joke twice. Take a moment to think about the last time you heard a joke. Did you laugh when you heard it the second time? How about the third time? Chances are, you didn't. You might have chuckled or smiled, but you didn't laugh. This is because we only find things funny the first time we hear them. After that, our brains have already processed the joke, and we know what's coming. So the element of surprise is gone, and with it, our ability to laugh. This doesn't just apply to jokes, but to anything that we find funny, whether it's a cartoon, a movie, or even a person. The first time we see or meet them, we laugh. But after that, our laughter becomes more muted. This is not a bad thing. It's just the way that our brains work. So the next time you hear a joke, make sure to savor that first laugh. It's something special. No. 2. Crying could make you feel a lot better. We all cry, whether we want to admit it or not. Crying is a natural human response to a wide range of emotions, from sadness and grief to joy and happiness. However, many of us feel uncomfortable crying in public or in front of others. We might feel embarrassed, ashamed, or weak. But the truth is that crying is actually a sign of strength, not weakness. Crying is a way for us to release our emotions and let go of any negativity that we may be holding on to. It is a physical manifestation of our feelings. When we cry, we are able to express ourselves in a way that we may not be able to otherwise. Crying can be a cathartic experience. It allows us to express our emotions and move on from whatever is causing us distress. It is a way to release tension and anxiety, and it can even help to boost our immune system. So the next time you feel like crying, don't hold it back. Let it flow. You'll feel better afterwards. We promise. No. 1. Food made by someone else tastes better than your own cooking, despite having the same recipe. Yes, we know this is a repeat, but that's how important this topic is. To put it simply, food made by someone else just tastes better than your own cooking, despite having the same recipe. And there's science to back it up. Researchers at the University of California, San Diego conducted a study in which they asked participants to rate the taste of cookies that were made by either themselves or by someone else. The results showed that the participants consistently rated the cookies made by someone else as being more delicious, even though they were the same recipe. So why does this happen? Well, there are a number of factors that could be at play. 1 is the element of surprise. When you make a meal for yourself, you know exactly what it is and what to expect. But when someone else makes it for you, there is an element of surprise. You want know how it is going to turn out. And that can make it more exciting and flavorful. Another factor is the social aspect of food. When someone else makes you a meal, it is an act of kindness and generosity. It is a way of showing you that they care about you and want to make you happy. And that, of course, makes the food taste better. Finally, there is the placebo effect. If you believe that someone else is a better cook than you are, then you are more likely to believe that their food is better, and that belief alone can make it a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's all for today. Comment below which fact surprised you the most.